Hello Linux lovers, my name's Wimpy, welcome to my world. Doing something a little bit different, hopefully the start of something I'll be doing quite regularly. Cup of tea and a bit of planning and chat. So, I'm going to be going over a few things. I thought I'll put this out there and, well, the idea is really there's lots of stuff that I do and I start my day. I'm doing this one later than I will do normally. I just wanted to sort of give this one a quick try. So I'm just going to ping this link around the place, see if anyone else is around this time of day that fancies a little catch up and a chat. So yeah, I'll just go and do that. I'm just going to tab in some other things. Whilst I'm doing this, I'll just mention a few things that I'm going to cover. So I started updating Mate Desktop 126 for Ubuntu Mate over the weekend and ran into a couple of little problems, but it's all fine now, and I'm just going to do a quick update on what's going on there. And then there's a couple of things for work that I'm going to start investigating, and I know there's a few people sort of in my circle of friends that would be able to help with that. So I'll be keen to look at that as well. Hey, good morning, Takov. How are you doing? I just remembered to move to the chat view. Thank you for joining. How are you this morning? Do you have a glass of orange juice or a cup of tea or a coffee or something? So, so I'm just updating this. I should have probably, I'm learning I should have pre-composed these, but there you go. I'm going to go over what was going on with Mate and Ubuntu Mate. It's a QA week for what will become Ubuntu Mate 20.04.3. So I'm going to touch on that briefly. Like I said, I've got a work update, and I need to think about tomorrow, because tomorrow is Ubuntu podcast recording day. So and we've got a special guest joining us for that, and I need to think about how we coordinate that with Alan and Mark. So that's what's going on, and a few other things as well. I've got something new here, which I'm very excited for. Jolly morning indeed. Oh, a berry tea. Oh, very good. I've never taken to fruit teas, but I know that they're very popular with a lot of friends of mine. I always feel like the fruit teas taste a little bit like cough syrup. I don't know what it is, but yeah, okay. If I got all of that right, let's hope so. Let's do that. Send it. There we go. There we go. Right. Okay. I'm just going to do another one of these, which will be much quicker, because I can just do this. Boink. Okay, that's good. Right then, let's get into what. So first of all, the first thing is I got a new thing. I need to just switch views again. Hang on a second. This is all brand new. One of the reasons I'm doing these live streams in the morning is I need to get better practiced at doing live streams again. Not just for my own, but also for work, because we do a weekly live stream with work, which is also on Twitch at Slim DevOps. And only doing a weekly live stream and only doing it for work, where it's usually multi-party, I've got a bit rusty and I keep bumping into some issues. So a bit like podcasting, practice makes everything work a bit better. So I'm getting back into the flow of streaming, and I think I'm either going to do these morning ones every morning, but a little bit earlier potentially, or I'm going to do them 3 times a week. But this is going to be in addition to sort of evening streaming, where I also work on stuff. So that's kind of the point. I see there's a few people watching along. If you haven't said hello, do say hello in chat. It's always nice to see who's in here. I like to get familiar with sort of who the return viewers are and who the new viewers are. It's always nice to say hello. So yeah, just raise your hand and say hello if you're in the chat. So the first thing I've got, and I haven't got my stream deck properly configured, so I'm having to do this a little bit Heath Robinson, but I think this view, there we go. So this is my desk view, and I've lashed this up with an old webcam, so it's a bit not great, but hello, this is me. Here's my mug of tea, which I'm enjoying. And you may have noticed that the tea has stormtroopers on it, and obviously there's stormtroopers here. This workstation is called Trooper, and this is from where I used to work. When I last worked in an office, I had Star Wars paraphernalia around, so my office here is full of Star Wars, well, actually Imperial stuff. It's all Darth Vader and stormtroopers. And speaking of which, these arrived in the post, which I'm very excited for. So these are some coasters, which, okay, could be exciting, but what hopefully you can see from these coasters is they have stormtroopers etched into these slate coasters. So there we go. I am now all set with coasters, and I have a few more of these that I'll put about the place in the office to put things on. So yeah, there's one there. I rather like these. Oh, and I'll just move back to, I need to add chat. So this is something else I noticed. I've got no chat in this view, so I'll need to fix that for the next one. But let's move back to the main chat, because I see a couple of people have shown up. Hello, Paul. How you doing? Hello, Esme. Nice to see you here. Yes, and Esme, another reason why I'm doing streams at this time is because I realise, you know, there are some people in, you know, the earlier time zone, Australasia and Asia and what have you, and it's difficult to join when I do them my evening, which is good for sort of, you know, the US and Europe, but a bit tricky for everybody else. So yeah, this is an effort to get better connected with, you know, the friends that I have elsewhere in the world. So what you may have missed is I'm going to be doing these this time quite regularly. In fact, it might be a bit earlier. What is the time where you are at the moment, Esme? Hey Paul, how you doing? Hello Jeff Giller, welcome back. Nice to see you. Oh, you like the setup? I'll take some pictures. There's a bit more to it than that, but I've got lots of Star Warsy stuff here. Magnets and things. I've got Darth Vader holding one of my controllers over there, and there's a stormtrooper here doing the same. So I have a stormtrooper who looks after my controller for me. He sits over here. One of these coasters can go over there as well. I also have a lamp over there, which is a TIE fighter, which is pretty cool. I like it a lot. So RJ, hello there. Evening streams are never good for me because I have to slink off and leave my wife downstairs. It's nice to see you in the morning. Okay, well, that's good to know that this is a good time for a different group of people. That's what I was kind of hoping. And also, in the mornings, I sort of figure out what I need to do in the day ahead, not just for work, but for fun stuff too. And I thought it would be good to share some of that because you lot are very knowledgeable. And it's good to say, oh, like for example, I want to learn more about GitPod. BigPod isn't in here at the moment, but I know he uses that. And so part of this is to sort of learn together, like literally fumble through new stuff that I've not, you know, experimented with before. Yeah. So a bit of that and a bit of, you know, catching up, because I had a kind of difficult time with Mate Desktop over the weekend, and I'll get into that in just a moment. So, without further ado, let's talk about that. So, I have another view, and I think this one has the chat in it too. Yes, it does. Very good. So, this is my wallpaper, the whole Trooper theme that I have going on with this workstation. So if I just bring this up, I should be able to drag this down here. So I thought I'd share something about how I have things set up. Maybe that'll work. I shouldn't do too much that goes over there. So I have a development directory where I have various projects and things set up where I do stuff. And what I have running here, if I just bring this into view, is that going to work for me? Oh, it looks like it might do. Okay, let's just pop this out. One moment, I'm just resizing Windows. So I use SyncThing. And here's my SyncThing running on this machine here. And I've just highlighted one folder here, development, which is this development directory that you can see in the terminal here. And what I like about this is I have this single directory syncing between all of my workstations and laptops. So it doesn't matter which computer I sit down at, the current state of all of my development environments are synchronized everywhere. So if you've seen one of my live streams before, you may not have seen me in this place. This is an office, a co-working space where I've just started renting a small office, partly to get air conditioning in the summer and partly after 18 months of lockdown, I needed to get out the house a bit more often. So here I turn this computer on in the morning and this synced up. So if I go into Debian and the PKG MATE directory, it doesn't sync all of that. I have to enable that discreetly for each machine. Here is the packaging that I was working on. So let's think, one of the ones that I changed most recently, well, actually, it's the first package I did. But if I head the change log, I know that I made that change at about 7 o'clock, specifically this change here, at about 7 o'clock this morning at home. And now sat here, I see exactly the same state. And this is a Git repository, but I'm not checking stuff into Git and pulling stuff out of Git. This is synchronizing thousands of Git repositories that I have checked out, and it works remarkably well. I've never had a screw up with it. So it means I can be at home, make a bunch of changes, have uncommitted changes at home, and when I come here, I have the same state of my Git tree here, or Git trees, as I had at home. Morning, Mindy. How are you? Okay, so it's about 6 p.m. where you are then, Esme. Okay, that's close. Maybe my other, because I'm thinking of doing this maybe 2 hours earlier than this normally. This is just like the pilot, the idea of getting some tea and having a chat. So and then Mindy goes on to say, do you use a VPN? Not yet. SyncThing is has its own broker, a discovery service, so you can connect the sync clients together without having to use a VPN, which is extremely useful. And as it happens, I also use Dropbox as well, and I have some of my stuff in Dropbox, which also synchronizes everywhere. So, for example, everything to do with my streaming configuration is in Dropbox. So, consequently, the directory paths and everything are the same on every machine, just as they are with SyncThing, as it happens. So I've been able to bring up my home streaming configuration here, and the advantage of using Dropbox for that is that I keep the actual configuration within, OBS itself. OBS is directory, so I can have local changes that don't get synchronized, because obviously my camera sources and audio sources are different here than they are at home. But everything else, all the transitions and the graphics and all of that stuff, that's all in a common place. But I am thinking of setting up a simple VPN to get from here to home and what have you. Hello KP, how you doing? Thank you for joining. I'm glad this time works for you. Tea and chats are always great. Yeah, I'm a full-time tea drinker now as well. I gave up coffee. I think I said this on the weekend in my stream on Saturday. It was Saturday, wasn't it? The coffee was finally got to me. I wasn't a fully functioning human being, so I've knocked it on the head. Just drink tea now. So Oz and New NZ are typically 3 or 4 hours ahead of you. Okay. Yeah. You have an Earl Grey addiction, Paul. Okay. I don't have such a sophisticated palate. In fact, I was mentioning this to Takov earlier, who's drinking a berry tea. And similarly, Earl Grey, it's never quite jived with me. So I just like an English breakfast tea, if any tea is English, of course. So yeah, I have fairly simple tastes in tea. So the issue that I ran into with the Mate packaging on Saturday, so I thought it was all going fine, and then it turned out it wasn't going so fine. So what did we do? We had to, I'm just going to bring up Launchpad, pop that window out, move to a new window, go here, there we go. Let's just bring this down. So this was what I was doing on Saturday afternoon. So I'd agreed time with the family to work on this because I needed to get started with some stuff, and it all went a bit wrong. So I actually ended up building it here in Play Park, which is like our super bleeding edge QA repository. But hopefully you can see, if I just do that, that it is all built now. We've got green ticks all the way down, although it looks like my window's a little bit tall, so I'll just resize it. So all of Mate 126 is currently built in a PPA for Impish, and I've tested it and it seems to work just fine. But what I ran into is some of the packages in Mate now use Git submodules, and that didn't work with the way we were building things for the Debian packaging. So I had to have a chat with Mike Gabriel, the Debian developer that I work with, to figure out how we were going to accommodate that. Anyway, we've come up with a solution, and I have uncommitted changes, so they're not in Debian Git yet, but it does all build. My next task for this will be going through and making discrete commits for each of the changes in this packaging and sending that up to Debian, except for one change, because we're actually undecided how we're going to accommodate part of this transition from upstream. So I won't be pushing everything to Debian just yet, but I've got a way forward that I can push this and publish this into Ubuntu, hopefully, so that it makes it for 2110. Hey, Sleepy Eyes Vince, how are you? Thank you for coming back. And I'm just reading the notes. Something doing in the UK? Is that what I'm looking at there? Good morning, hello and welcome. So that was I was intending to do a second live stream on Saturday evening to actually like complete the uploads, and well, I saw that Yannick was streaming, so I went to watch his stream, and whilst I was watching his stream I was looking at the build failures here and realised I had a bigger problem.
Thank you for the follow, Don, in the UK.
Oh, hey, thanks for the sub. I've also noticed something's not right there because the audio triggers aren't running on that here, so I'll need to fix that later. Thank you for the follow. This is all me identifying what needs to get fixed and improved for, you know, then, well, probably tomorrow, the next time I do one of these. So the current status is there is a version of MATE 126 and it's ready for impish, and I need to sort of probably, I may even do it tonight actually. I may do a live stream tonight where I check all of that stuff in. It's going to be a lot of by hand git commits to get that done. But I think I'll have to get on and do that, and I may do that using the scripted approach that I did on Saturday. In the past, I've always done these sort of changes entirely by hand, mostly so people can see what the process looks like when I do it manually, and learn from it. But it seems everyone's seen that stuff 1,000 times, so I thought I'd switch things up and introduce a script that I used to use before I did streams, where it can iterate over all of the repositories one after another and like do the same thing, so it's very quick to make a bunch of changes. So, do you sync with upstream every minor release? I think your question, KP, is if there's a minor release of something MATE related, do I put that package into Debian, that package revision? If that's your question, then yes, I do. I would say I probably do 9/10 of the MATE package maintainership in Debian, with Mike Gabriel as sort of my mentor, and he is the uploader because he is the fully signed up Debian developer, so he has upload rights. So I sort of do most of the work and he does the actual uploading and publishing. And we've got a really good relationship actually. I was fortunate enough to meet him in the very, very early days. In fact, before Ubuntu MATE was official. A very kind gentleman paid for me to go to Germany to meet Mike at an open source conference so that we could figure out how we were going to work together. So this was a company that were building remote terminal solutions on top of Ubuntu, MATE and X2Go, and Mike Gabriel is the lead for X2Go and other remote terminal solutions on Linux. And this organization wanted an official Ubuntu MATE that had all of the X2Go's support in it, and so they paid for me to meet Mike in Germany, and we spent 3 days hacking on stuff, and that was in October of 2014, so a few months before things became, you know, official for Ubuntu MATE. But that was a lot of fun, and as a result, Mike and I have got a very good working relationship, and you know, we bounce ideas off each other and what have you. And in fact, I just messaged him this morning. I saw that I use the Arctica greeter in Ubuntu MATE now, which is a fork of the Unity greeter, and it's a fork that Mike maintains, and it's a fork which preserves the remote login capability that Unity greeter used to have and Canonical subsequently dropped. But obviously for remote terminal use cases, that's a very powerful feature. But it also has a guest session capability, which Mike has just re-added. And I said to him yesterday, I said, is this like ready for prime time? And he said yes. So I'm going to add that. In fact, let's do that now. That could be a quick change we could do. That's like a super quick thing we can do. Let's go and do that. Because everything's checked out here, let's just see if I can, there we go, make the font a bit bigger. So let's go to Ubuntu MATE, Ubuntu, no, it's the, yes, Ubuntu MATE impish. Grep, arc, oops. So in here, it's in the core package. So let's just very quickly nano this one. Core, oh dear, I'm getting confused between code and core. There it is. So we will make this a recommends, and it's Arctic Greeter guest session, I think is the name of the package. So let's just exit that. App search. There it is. So there it is. So it's in, I'm running Hirsute at the moment, so it's in Hirsute, but I think it's an old version, and we'll just check that. We'll just check what versions are in the different releases of Ubuntu. So it sounds like a page out of a developer fairy tale. Yeah, Esme, it's weird how, you know, things happen. So it's been in the archive for a while, ever since Bionic, but Mike tells me this version is the fixed one, which is actually an impish as a result of, you know, the Debian 11 release. Mike had to fix a bunch of stuff, you know, to get things ready by then. Nano is the best editor. Well, it's the best terminal editor, in my opinion, because it's super simple and more powerful than people realize. And then I uploaded this version yesterday, which isn't just the guest session, it's actually Arctic Greeter as a whole, that NMU1. NMU means non-maintainer upload. I'm not the maintainer of the package, but I've pushed a change to an Ubuntu, previously agreeing with Mike what those changes were going to be, and pushing those to Debian. But because the Debian import freeze is in place, there is no there's no packages syncing from Debian to Ubuntu at the moment, so I need to upload stuff to Ubuntu with the changes that I require for this release, and then I'll sync those packages from Debian back to Ubuntu at the start of the next release cycle, which will be a J animal of some sort. Let's hope it's a real animal, not a jackalope this time. So the first change I've made is to put that into the seeds. If you're not familiar with seeds, this is what governs what composes the distribution. I've broken it down into core, so these are like the essentials. Anything that's in braces is a recommended, appears as a recommended package, and anything that's not in braces is a mandatory package, which means you can remove MATE Calc in this case from your installed Ubuntu MATE, and it won't pull the meta packages off your system as well. But if you were to remove something like the MATE desktop environment core, that would also remove the Ubuntu MATE desktop meta package, which at that point means upgrades may not work. So anyway, this is the essential system. So the core seed is all of the stuff that I think is like the base of the operating system. And then I have another seed called desktop, which is like all of the apps on top. And all of these are recommended, so, or most of them are. They all are. These are the snaps, obviously, that go in for the themes and what have you. And that's what creates the let's just find the right example. That's what creates the Ubuntu MATE desktop and the Ubuntu MATE core packages. And then in here we also have the desktop minimal remove, and what's listed in here is if you choose the minimal install, these are the packages that then get removed at the end of the install. So the way that the Ubuntu installer works is there's a squashfs file system in the image, and it deposits that squashfs file system on your machine. So there's no like apt install things running over and over and over. It's just like a file system copy. And then at the end, if you choose the minimal install, it invokes an apt transaction that basically says find all of these packages and remove them. So that's how that whole process works. So this is in a Bazaar repository of all things. So there we go. There's the change bzr diff. So we can see we've added the guest session. So we'll check that in. We'll add Arctica greeter. And this is nice because we've not had the guest session in Ubuntu MATE for a while, and I find it extremely useful having friends and family that want to use your laptop from time to time. You can log out, hand them your laptop, they can log in, do whatever they need to do, and it destroys all of the data, so it doesn't leave a profile behind. So if they've logged into a bank or a online shop, none of that stuff gets sent. So that's pushed the change to the seed, but that in itself doesn't actually regenerate the meta packages. For that, we need to go to here, which is the actual meta package itself, and this is all automatically generated. So if I now run update, that will, among other things, go and look at that Bazaar repository where I've just pushed that change that says include the guest session, and it will automatically regenerate the Debian control files and all of that sort of stuff based on what's in those seeds. So you have those seed files, and the process that's running in the background here at the moment is called germinate, which is appropriate. And that will figure out everything that needs to be added to the control file that wasn't there previously. And as you can see, it does this for all of the architectures that I've elected to support Ubuntu MATE on. So it will regenerate the seeds for the Intel 64-bit, and it also uses ARM and ARM64 and PowerPC. So it says here, which system uses Bazaar version control? So the only thing I have in Bazaar version control these days for Ubuntu MATE is those seeds that I showed you, those things that define the core I'm gonna have to do something about how I present this chat as well. I think I might need to put a fade in behind it a little bit. So yeah, the only thing that's in there is the seeds, and that's just a historical thing. When I started on Ubuntu MATE, everything was in Bazaar. In about 2017, we moved just about everything to GitHub. And the only thing I left in Bazaar was the seeds, because at that time, that's where the integration points existed. I know some of the other flavors have moved their seeds to Git now. I'm just too lazy. It's such a small file. I change it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times each release cycle to add and remove packages. So I'm just going to leave it where it is. I've got no incentive, to move it anywhere. It's also one of those files that you need to have the release team need to have access to in case something terrible has happened and they need to step in and make changes. So leaving it in Bazaar means that they've got access to that should they need it. Right then, so this tells me that it's made some updates and it's revved my package. So we need to go into the new directory, and if we go and have a look in the changelog, it will automatically update this, and here it is. So it tells us that we've got a new version I know that we are going to be uploading this to Impish, and it says that it added the Arctic Agree to Guest session to the core recommends and the desktop recommends, because obviously the desktop recommends inherits from the core. And that's it. So we'll save that. We'll build a source package. Oh, hello. Let's try that again, Fish. There we go. Thank you. I'll unlock my signing key. And I will now put that in the Ubuntu archive. And that's it. That will now build and release into the Impish archive, and that now means that the guest session is going to be in Ubuntu MATE 21.10. Does Launchpad use Git or Bazaar? So Launchpad uses both. When it was originally created, I don't even think Git was a thing when Launchpad was originally created. So Launchpad was Bazaar only for a long time, and then I think about 3-4 years ago Git support was added, so both work equally well in Launchpad now. And I do use Git repositories in Launchpad. I just don't put a lot of code there. It's a great system, but not many people are developing in Launchpad unless you're making Ubuntu. So consequently, I tend to put stuff on GitHub, because if you want people to contribute, putting things in GitHub and GitLab is going to garner much more contribution from other people. So that's well, that's a thing we've managed to do. So let's have a sip of tea. So the other thing is we've got a QA week ahead of us. So this is probably something I need to put in Sync thing as well. So I have a directory called QuickEmu where I run all of my VMs, and I think what we need to do here is make one called Ubuntu MATE dev. We'll copy the Linux template into copy that to Ubuntu MATE dev. We'll zsync. Is that the right one? No, it's not quite, is it? So zsync, well, I always use it even though I don't have a version to update, but we'll grab Impish, and because I'll need that at some point. And when that one's downloaded, I will also go and grab the daily for the QA stuff. So let's go back. Oops. Let's go back. My brain's not working. I can't see what I want on the screen. Let's just minimize this a second. Here we go. So here's the testing tracker, which frustratingly doesn't support HTTPS. Thankfully the 2FA does. Right, let's just why is it asking me to sign in again? Right, let's just get logged in. Oh goodness, everything wants to. I'm just signing in to LastPass first of all. But what I was going to show you is the current QA that's going on. So that's that done. Get rid of that. Log in. Go. I am so going to be changing away from LastPass, by the way. I've just about had enough of it messing me about. I think almost certainly I'm going to be using Bitwarden unless anyone here has got other suggestions for decent password managers. Hey, Diddle Danny, how you doing? Morning. Get yourself a cup of tea. And hey, Cody, how you? It's interesting you should ask about retro remix, Cody. Let me just get signed on here. I have information about that. I was literally thinking about that as I walked here from the car this morning. Right, now I need to do my... So the thing that's winding me up about LastPass is that every time I go to use it at the moment, it says, oh, you need to fully re-authenticate because your IP address has changed. And that's because I use LastPass on my phone, my tablet, here, and at home. So literally every device I log in with, it's got a different IP address, and it signs all the sessions out, and you have to go through this dance every time. And I realise that's a security feature, but it's just too much. So I want something where I can do I don't mind putting my second factor in each time, but I don't want to be logged out every single time I change location, because I change locations quite a lot. So that's mega annoying, and I'm hoping that, you know, something else will be more, but I need something that synchronizes across all the devices and all of the things. So I think that is Bitwarden, but I am interested in other solutions. I have used what's it called, KeyPass, as a means to not synchronize, but like get data in different places. Right, so here we go. We can bring this back down here now. I also see there's been some chat, so let's just do this. So what have we got here? You've never had that happen. Well, lucky for you. So let's have a look here. Oh my goodness, I've missed a bunch of messages. So yeah, Launchpad is older than Get. So Launchpad was the original project. Ubuntu came afterwards, so Launchpad was in the works before Ubuntu was a thing. So Cody asks, is Retro Remix still a thing, or has it just become unmaintainable? So it's not unmaintainable. I simply don't have the time to work on it, and I don't have the motivation to work on it anymore. When I came up with that idea, the idea was that I was going to make a fully snapped OS for emulation stuff. And that was an extension of what I was doing with work at Canonical. And well, I've no motivation to make such a thing in order to sort of push snaps and core and Ubuntu core along anymore. So what I was thinking this morning is I'm probably going to just archive that Retro Remix project, so the code is there for anyone that wants to, you know, because it shows you like how to create a Raspberry Pi operating system for Ubuntu, albeit Ubuntu Classic. But no, I'm not going to be carrying that forward, so I am going to pull away from that. If there's anyone that wants to carry it forward, I'm more than happy to hand it over. So I did think I'll just archive it, and then I thought, well, that's not very helpful. So I think what I'll do is update it, just to say I'm not planning to maintain this project. If anyone wants it, let me know. Give it a bit of time, and if there are no takers, then archive it. So yeah, that's what I'm planning to do with that. So let's have a look here. KP suggests KeyPass XC. You use it offline only, but you can use Dropbox for syncing. Yes. I did used to. I think I don't know as XC. We did used to use KeyPass X a couple of jobs back, and I quite liked it. The syncing may, because I share the password database with my wife, so it's also on my wife's tablet, computer and phone, which is why this whole location changing is a mess. So yeah.
Thank you for the follow, Diddledan.
Diddle Dan. Thanks, Diddle Danny. Thank you for the follow. So Sleepy Eyes Vince is also using KeyPass XC, but Bitwarden, if you want features like sync, yeah, I think so. And if you listen to Ubuntu podcast, Mark, one of the co-hosts on Ubuntu podcast, he's using Bitwarden and has recently gone through that, and he's got like good experiences, so I can pick his brains about how to go about it. So Takov says, I'm using VaultWarden, so that is that Bitwarden backend that Mark is using as well. And as you know, had issues to integrate original Bitwarden in my small infrastructure, but I have no dedicated machine for it. Okay, so Bitwarden does the job, but been using it for a few years as a paying customer. Works well on all platforms. Okay, I've had zero problems. So I'm interested in VaultWarden, but similarly, I may just use their hosted service. As I get older, I become less and less interested in self-hosting as much stuff as I used to. So yeah. So right, okay. So Dan is doing precisely that. Danny's doing paying for their hosting. K Wallet and GNOME Keyring. Lol. Very good. Yeah, and another one there from sorry, I might need to change my glasses. Simmons Dan. Thanks for joining, by the way, and welcome. And KP says Mate theming in Flatpak FlatHub would be nice. So I actually don't know where to start with something like that, but sure, I have no objection to it. I would need help from somebody that is familiar with the topic to get me started, I think. And Danny says, why am I not following? Okay, thanks Danny for the follow. And again, I'm making a mental note. I need to fix the audio prompts because I have got TTS, and I have this lovely lady that says thank you and everything. It's terrific, but I've got my audio routing screwed up here for some reason. One of the reasons why I'm doing this, to unpick problems that I encounter with work streams as well. Okay, and Mindy then says VaultWarden is working perfectly fine for them. Okay, using it for years without a problem. Great. You tried 1Password and KeyPass, but Bitwarden is rock solid. That's a good feature set. Yeah, I think so many endorsements there. It seems that people that want like a desktop thing, KeyPass XC, because I've heard that mentioned, before today, obviously. But Bitwarden seems to have mindshare, particularly among, the Linuxy and open sourcey crowd. Oh, so you can hear her, but I cannot. Okay. Right, I know what that is. In fact, I can probably even fix that now. I'll just I'll just fix that for myself. Yes, okay, that's why. So there we go. If somebody's watching and isn't following, can you follow? And I'll know if I've just fixed it. Maybe that's just fixed it. So Cody says, I'm a boomer. I don't save passwords. I have them written down in a notebook. Yes, indeed. Yeah, some habits die hard, don't they? So, what did I have going on here? We were doing this, and it's QA time. So let's just take a look in here. Hey, I heard that. Thank you. Thank you, Mindy. That's extremely kind. I heard that, so I assume you all did as well. Although she didn't speak this time. Oh well. I will. Still more to do, but at least one problem corrected. Yeah, I don't use browser password syncing at all. In fact, I was just setting up Chrome to use as an in-browser, in-stream browser. Although I've pulled in Brave down here now because I was logged in. And the first thing I do, other than changing...
Thank you for the follow, Signimo.
Thank you for the follow. So I did hear that there was talking and chimes and everything that time. Thank you very much. Right. So yeah, the first thing I do when I fire up a browser is use the native title bars and then turn off anything that's about a browser, remembering passwords or forms or anything. I don't want any of that in a browser. There was an echo on the voice. Okay, I know why that is as well. Thank Mindy, this is brilliant. I love this debugging. I know why. We'll fix that too. So I need to say, don't do that. Right. So I don't do that. It will monitor an output. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, if there's anyone else in here who hasn't followed yet, do you care to follow? This sounds like a terrible way to get followers. Help me debug my alerts. But you know, you do keep the tux walking across the bottom of the screen if people follow. So you know, that'd be good. Right, Esme's off to get some dinner. Have a lovely evening. So KP asks, does it work if you unfollow and then follow? I don't think it does. I think somebody tried this in the past, and yeah, there it was. It was Danny, and it didn't work. Yeah. So anyway, where were we? We were down here. Let's move to the correct virtual screen. In fact, virtual screens. I've got a neat solution for virtual screens. That I wonder if I've actually got the gizmo here. I can't remember if I took it home or not. I've got a third one. Anyway, so this is something we need to get on in the Ubuntu MATE team, which is to get some testing done on what will become Ubuntu MATE 20.04.3, the next point release, which has got a new hardware enablement stack. So yeah, thanks Danny for trailblazing. I think some months ago we figured that one out. So yeah, if you're not familiar then and you've got some time on your hands, then do consider heading over to the ISO QA tracker this week for Ubuntu. All the flavors need testing doing. So yeah, hop in there, do some testing. That would be greatly appreciated, I'm sure. I don't think any of them are marked ready yet. I think hopefully we've got till Thursday. It's usually Thursday, but I think we'll do some of that later this evening. So that was that, and I mentioned a little gizmo. So I wonder if I can do this. I think so. Yeah, let's pull this down here. So this is the display configuration on the machine I'm running here. So this screen is the one that I'm looking at. It's an ultra wide. This is new. I've never had anything like this before. It's curved and everything. Completely changed my mind about monitors. I absolutely love it. And then beneath there is this 1080p monitor, or so you would believe, but there is no monitor. I only have one. And what this is a little HDMI dongle that is plugged into the HDMI port of the graphics card, and as far as the operating system's concerned, there is a monitor attached that can do all of these resolutions. So what I do in OBS is I create a screen device that I embed, and this is this area that you're looking at down here, all of these windows. I'm dragging, in fact I'll do it here, I'm dragging from above into this window below, and I'm looking at the OBS preview as a means to see this virtual monitor beneath. So this is how I do all of my live coding stuff. you know, as you can see, I just drag windows in from above, and that's how I do the streams. So it means that I've got still space on the main screen here where I can put the chat and what have you, and yeah, that's how I do it. I got 3 of these little gizmos for, I think it was 11 quid, and I've plugged one in here. I've got one at home and I've got a spare one which I can use on like my laptop, for example.
Thank you for the follow, Ike Van Holt.
Okay, thank you for the follow. I heard it, hopefully you heard it, and hopefully this time there was no echo. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the I appreciate the help debugging my incompetence. That's very good of you. Thank you. So Mindy says those. Let's just go back up here. So those HDMI VGA dongles are amazing. Use them for hardware accelerated remote desktop through no machine. Yes, so this was one of the use cases that I saw people using them for, which was take a headless system, you know, create a monitor so that, you know, remote terminal solutions work really well. The other one I saw, which I thought was clever, is somebody built a Steam box and plugged one of those in with, you know, a 1080p output so that they can use their Steam Link downstairs, and so this headless game streaming box has got a monitor on it. And I also see people using them on the Raspberry Pi for remote access, and I'm using it in OBS to create, you know, fake screens that I can do things with. Debug your incompetencies, prizes to be won. Yeah, it's true. So I did have a few notes of things I was going to touch on very quickly. So as there's a few more people watching at the moment, if there's anyone in here who is GitPod aficionado, let me know. I'm going to be learning some GitPod. I may have a tinker with that in this stream tomorrow morning. The background looks different. I'll get back to that question in a moment. So yes, if anyone is up to speed on GitPod, please follow, and I will be keen to hear your experiences as I fumble my way through getting up to speed with that. One of the reasons I want to learn that is through work. On Thursday this week, on Thursday evening, we're going to be doing a live stream which we are calling Containers 101, and we're going to invite people to bring any app that they're working on or an app that they love and containerize it. And we've set ourselves the rather tall order of any app, any language, any ecosystem, and we'll help you get from zero to hero. I am very nervous about this, but that's what Peter and I are going to try and do on the Slim DevOps Twitch channel. And so I want to use GitPod to get up to speed. KP says CUDA. So actually, yeah, I know that's going to be a problem. And that's an area where I know lots about CUDA in containers, because I've done that stuff on Lexi and Snaps, and actually did some of the app armor profiling for CUDA on Snaps. So maybe I should start with something hard like that, because you just know somebody's going to turn up with somebody's going to turn up with that. Yeah, CUDA, yeah, Python too. With the fun I've counted with some snaps, that sounds like a daunting challenge. Let's hope everyone's just turning up with like Go and Swift and Rust. Nice easy ones, but you know it's going to be R and Ruby and, you know, all manner of other things. We do that at work. As in CUDA and C++, right? Okay. You need patched Docker for CUDA support. Okay, I'm surprised because NVIDIA release, I forget the name of it, but they release a package which enables you to bind the host CUDA libraries from inside containers, and that's what LexC uses. And I contributed to that project some time ago because when they introduced the Vulkan driver in the NVIDIA drivers, they didn't actually have that being passed through from the host to the container. So it was a really trivial, don't think I did anything clever. It was literally a symlink in a shell script. But, I spotted that wasn't working. And yes, that's it. KP, it's the NVIDIA container runtime is what I'm talking about. So I'm surprised that that just isn't available in Docker. I would have thought that, for Docker's such wide adoption, why would CUDA be hard? Well, maybe that's a thing for me to experiment with. Maybe I'll find a simple CUDA project. Maybe FFmpeg, for example. That would be a nice easy one. That's got CUDA bits in it if you turn it on. With the patch Docker, which replaces the default one. I just don't understand why CUDA would require... Well, I'm not denying you're right. I'm just surprised. Absolutely surprised. So you don't really have to do anything after the installed package. Okay, interesting. You can specify runtime in Docker Compose. Okay, I'm getting all sorts of good information here. NVIDIA Docker. They wrote the patches rather. Okay. Wow, that's all interesting stuff. Okay, so to come back to an earlier question, which was from Sinimo. Am I pronouncing that right? They say the background looks different. Have I missed something? You're referring to this background. Yeah. This is a little office space that I'm renting, and so I've started coming here to work. So far I've been in here every day since I got it, but I'll probably do 2 or 3 days a week from here, maybe 3 days a week. I just needed to get out of the house, so this is an alternative place for me to work. It feels like you're leaving the house, going to work, and it's just good for state of mind. Okay, so at work we do Docker and then install the NVIDIA container runtime, and it's able to run CUDA containers. So KP, are you saying you use vanilla Docker and the NVIDIA container runtime and that's all fine? If so, that's interesting to me. Fab. Thank you, KP. This is why I'm doing this. I'm learning. I knew this would be a good idea. So many knowledgeable people. Hello, Mateus. Welcome back. How are you? Always a pleasure to check in on your streams. Oh, well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say so. So yeah, this is a different sort of thing. More sort of just chatting, little bit of project updates, stuff like that. But what I'm planning to do is I started doing the live streams last year, really in response to lockdown and wanting to stay connected with people and knowing that we weren't going to be going to events and seeing people. And I wanted to sort of share the little that I do know. I wanted to share with people to try and help other people, learn and get stuff done. And they've dropped off a bit in recent times because I've been busy, but I'm now going to be streaming far more regularly, that kind of stuff again. But then when I'm not streaming stuff that I broadly know how to do, I spend time just trying to figure out new stuff. And I thought, well, maybe I should do more streaming of the figuring out bit, because with some of you here, it will go faster because there are people here that know more about some of this stuff than I do, so I get to benefit from your know-how. So, Sinamo, I'm glad you like that. Good. Okay. Apparently you don't need the NVIDIA Docker anymore. So the Ali is saying apparently you don't need NVIDIA Docker anymore. Well, that's a good thing. So that's very helpful because that gives me a starting point. So maybe tomorrow that's what I'll have a bash at. Maybe I'll have a go at running up Docker with the NVIDIA runtime. I'm sure FFmpeg must exist out there somewhere with the CUDA patches applied, and I could try that just to sort of see that that stuff works. The reason I want to do this is that I know there's somebody that's asking after GPU acceleration support with Docker Slim, which is a project that we run at work, which is an open source project to make your Docker containers tiny and secure and optimized. And I don't know the details of what their GPU questions are, but I think I'll go and find that bug and do some research and see if I can figure out what their problems are and if I can help. So that might be useful as well. Well, my tea is empty. I've gone through some of the stuff I wanted to cover off today. Thank you very much for all of your well, first of all, debugging the stream. It's extremely helpful. Feedback on password managers. I think it's going to be Bitwarden, so I'll journal my journey of exporting everything from LastPass and moving to Bitwarden and seeing if Bitwarden gives me the better experience that I'm looking for, and also for the GitPod and Docker stuff, particularly the Docker and CUDA things. That gives me some avenues to start walking down. So, Synamo says, when the username and message text are in the same line in the chat stream, it's a bit harder to notice the username because of the same color. Yes, I have limited control over how that is done. I don't know why some people are blue and some people are white in the chat. I will see what can be done about that, but I don't know how this chat thing. Hello, Tyler. Wow, what time is it where you are? What are you doing up this time of day? Tyler is caffeinated Linux, by the way. It's 6 a.m. Oh, right, okay. Okay, so not too awful, but nevertheless early. Well, welcome. Thanks very much for stopping by. And the last thing I've got on my list of things I need to do today is have a chat to Alan and Mark, my co-hosts on the Ubuntu podcast, because we have a special guest we're going to be recording with tomorrow, and we need to figure out how we're going to do that. So if you're not subscribed to Ubuntu podcast, get subscribed now, because we've got a very interesting conversation coming up. Danny, no, it's not you, but perhaps it should be sometime soon. I don't think we've never had you on the Ubuntu podcast, have we? I don't think so. Right then. So yes, I've got a few bits there. Anyway, so I've discussed coasters. I'm very happy with these new coasters. For those of you that didn't see earlier, look, check this out. We've got slate coasters etched with stormtroopers to fit in with my Imperial theme that I have going on here. Oh, and I need to add the chat in here, don't I? Because that's in fact, I wonder if I could do that. No, I won't do it live. That'd be a bad idea. So, yeah, this is a fully Star Wars theme. Well, I say Star Wars. It's Empire themed office space, because I managed to acquire a bunch of Stormtrooper and Darth Vader stuff at the last time I had an office job, so I got that out of storage and I've used it to decorate this place. In fact, one moment, I will get some examples. Here we go. Oh. Let me just put this down here and one more over here. Oh. Here we go. Right, let's just go through this. So up on the shelf above me, I have these. There are 3 of them. So this is Stormtroopers. It's going to catch my eyes, isn't it? Stormtroopers doing See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and of course, Speak No Evil. So I know a lot of my friends are massive Star Trek nerds, and this is probably heresy. I have a stronger allegiance to the Star Wars universe than the Star Trek universe, although I enjoy both. Oh yes, Tyler. So you were at System 76's event. So so are you still in Denver, or are you back home now? Omiv, hello, welcome. I think you're new here, but welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. So you're back in Kansas, okay? Made the long drive home yesterday. Gosh, how far was that? Heresies, let's tack off. Yeah, I know I've been on the TL Grey Hot podcast. I need to make the time to. I wasn't able to join them. They were doing something last week. And I simply, I think it was on Friday or something, or Thursday, and I just finished work, and I was just too tired, so I didn't join that one. But I do enjoy chatting to Dave and Yannick about nerdy Star Wars stuff. I enjoy that a lot. Right, 7 or 8 hour drive. Okay, that's not terrible in American terms. Then I can. Yeah, I think that's the equivalent of driving from the most southerly point in the UK to sort of the tip of Scotland. I think that can be done in about 8 hours. So that's a country length in my book. So well done on that. Right then. I think I'm going to call it there. So thank you very much for stopping by, those of you that found the time to join me. I'll be doing this again, maybe a little bit earlier tomorrow, so set your alarms. I think UK time, I'm going to try and do these. Their earliest, they'll start at 8. I think generally I'll start them at 9 in the morning. And I'm just going to do a little, catch up and show and tell. So tomorrow, hopefully, it will be GitPod and Docker and NVIDIA runtime stuff. But if not, it will be something else. And yeah, I'm just going to share things as I go and hope that you can help unmuddle my mind as I learn new things. I don't think I have it. Right, okay, fair enough. So thank you all very much for coming. I'm going to push a button over here and hope it works. I've only got 2 buttons configured on my Stream Deck, and I hope this one works. But thank you all for coming. And whilst you're here, if you're not subscribed, also head over to the Slim DevOps Twitch channel and follow over there, because I'm going to be doing, well, at least the weekly live stream over there, but also I want to start live streaming there a bit more regularly, because we're working on some educational content around Docker and containers in general, and I'm going to be piloting some workshops and tutorials and training material over there. So if you want to learn more or spot the obvious mistakes that I've made in my presentations, then get followed over there. And I appreciate your feedback and help, and if you're just there to learn, then that would be great. I'll look forward to doing that as well. So give Slim DevOps a follow, because I'm going to be going between those fairly frequently now. Right, thank you all for stopping by. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for another cup of tea. Bye bye.